What is up, guys? It is your girl C, aka at Sporty Spice, aka that Philly John, and today we are with Gwen, Mary, two-time Olympian, all around, just a dope person. I mean, you can just tell looking at her, she looks amazing. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. How y'all doing today?
Of course, and she got the braid out. See, I didn't even know it was braided. Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to have you. Now, when I first start the show, I usually have this section that I call the starter lock section of the show because I like to relate everything to a hair salon because I feel like that's a safe space for me as a Black
Okay.
woman. So I like to bring that in. So I always try to start off with like a simple, basic starter question to get into the convo.
Okay.
I love the South. I love anybody from the South. So I already love you just just in that alone. What was it like for you growing up in Missouri?
I feel like growing up, it was kind of different only because like I feel like I'm unorthodox, right? You know, a lot of people grow up like with their mothers. Like if they're from a single parent family, it's usually like the mom raising them. But mine was different. My father raised me. My father's family raised me. So it was really crazy. And I was his first kid. Of course, I'm a girl. You know, my father's definitely a man's man. So like growing up, it's like I never did things that like girls were supposed to do based off of like social norms, the society puts on us. So it was pretty fun, pretty different, but yeah, I was a tomboy to the T. Um, yeah, even though I grew up, in an impoverished neighborhood, I grew up in, some bad areas. I feel like just because I was a dad's girl and, my family was real close, no one could tell me anything because I was just such a tomboy. So active, so loud, so fun, so free. So it was cool.
I mean, and how do you think that plays into your personality now? Because I can see it coming
Yeah.
through.
Yeah, I feel like it plays a lot in my personality, especially in sports. Like again, because I was my father's first kid, every father wants a boy. So my father literally treated me like a boy to where, I was the best girl in every sport, the smartest kid in every class. Like I was always like driven to like be the best, you know what I'm saying? Just because of like everything that my father had instilled in me. And
Mm-hmm.
he never gave me excuses. He never like allowed me to apologize for being a female in any space. So they gave me a lot of confidence to know that like as long as my pop's behind me, I can do anything.
Period. I'm the youngest of five, so I have three older brothers. So
Mhm.
that was definitely my energy where it's like, man, everybody know my brothers. I can do whatever.
Exactly. I
Nobody
can do
gonna
whatever
touch
I
me.
want.
I would be like in high school, I'd be downtown living my life. All of a sudden, my brother know where I'm at because one of his friends saw me, and now everybody know I'm his
Yeah.
sister.
Oh
So it's like
yeah.
it was good when it was good.
Yeah.
It was annoying when it wasn't.
Yeah.
But what type of sports did you get into growing up? Like, how did that start for you?
What's crazy is when I was growing up, I used to play baseball a lot, like baseball, football, and basketball a lot. I used to play against all my cousins, and again, because my family was like so male oriented, like I'm playing basketball against guys, I'm getting elbowed in the face. My dad even chipped my tooth when I was a kid. It's still chipped today. Like I was just always like rough house. Football, same thing. Like I used to play like all the guy sports. I never played girl sports, so like I didn't do tennis. I did become a cheerleader, but that was when I was in high school, and my dad only let me do it because he was just like, "Well, you can play basketball. If you play basketball, you can cheer." So my sport of choice growing up was baseball, basketball, and football.
Interesting. And like, I love the ultimatum. I love that you had to
Oh yeah.
you had to balance it out.
Uh-huh.
Like, is that? Do you think that balance is hard for you?
Um, Not really. I feel like because my dad allowed me to focus more on like myself, like self-love, being driven, being determined, it allowed me to not be distracted about, other worldly things and other things that, we tend to focus on when we're growing up that we really don't need to be focused on.
Yes, for sure. We definitely need more of that, like self-centered teaching.
Hmm.
And I was talking to somebody about this the other day because we were talking about like being in high school, being in middle school, and like what that was like for us. And it's like I really knew like how to care for myself
Mm-hmm.
until like recently. Like that was
Yeah.
never something that was brought to me. It was always like, this is what you mean to other people. This is what you bring
Mm-hmm.
to other people. And
Yeah.
not, this is what you bring to yourself. This is what you mean to yourself. This is what you can do for yourself.
Yeah. And that's what I was taught my whole life. Again, just being raised by a male, it's just like, men are already like naturally independent. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they get things done, they get the job done. So like that's how I was raised. So that's how I always been like, I know I don't need anybody but myself. If I can do it, I'm not asking for no help. I'm getting it done. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care how long it takes. Like I am capable of doing anything that I put my mind to. And that's one thing that was very important that my father instilled in me.
Mm-hmm. Do you think like going through your sports career, going through college, what did you study? I think I read that you studied psychology, but just check.
Mhm. So
Okay.
yeah, I studied psychology and criminal justice in my undergrad.
What made you choose to do that? That's interesting.
I always found people interesting. Like, I'm the type of person, I'm intuitive and I'm definitely a natural empath. So I feel like I want to know, like, I wanted to study, like, why that person did this. Because they're not just acting this way because they're this way. It has to be
Mm-hmm.
a reason. I believe, like, it's a reason for everything. And I believe, like, everybody's story derives from something they've experienced, something they've seen, something they've heard, like any type of traumatic event. And so, like, I really wanted to, like, focus on that, study that, and like, just understand the human mind and perspective on life.
Mm-hmm. How do you think that's aided in your career? Just having that knowledge.
I feel like it's been very impactful in my career because I feel like with everything that I've stood for and everything that I've done, I've always been able to take an empathetic approach and like speak for people who can't speak for themselves because they either can't or they don't have the confidence to. So I feel like just understanding like people can be like me, coming from poor neighborhoods and not having, justice or resources or help just because somebody doesn't want to give it to them because they feel like they don't deserve it. I feel like understanding that person made me who I was, and as to why one of the reasons why I decided to use my platform to speak out about those things.
Mm-hmm. Which I like. I really admire the way you speak out about certain things, especially when it comes to racial justice, social justice, because it's so hard to speak out in general, let alone as a Black individual, let alone as a Black woman in
Yes.
a space like that where it's like most sports are predominantly white, even if the athletes are Black, the people in the rooms are white. So
Always. Always.
trying to challenge that is such a big deal, and I don't think people always realize what's at stake when that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like people they think that speaking out is easy because we are supposed to have freedom of speech, right? But we know that's really not true. Because if we really had freedom of speech, half of the things that's going on, like even today, like with Kanye and Kyrie, it wouldn't be an issue because like y'all said we can voice our opinions, we have freedom of speech. So it's just like certain things, even though they're said, they're not really implemented in society the way it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. And like navigating like I don't know, it's such a weird spare when you're trying to navigate what you know to be true and like what people are telling you. Like there's this
Uh-huh.
one ad that I keep seeing. I think it was like because of the election coming up, but it was like this is the America that I was taught, and this is the America that I'm seeing, this is what I'm hearing growing up, and like I know this is not this like dreamscape that they painted it out to be,
Yeah,
which for like a lot of young Black people, you know that from the start. Like you don't get a chance to see that dreamscape. You don't get a chance to believe in that
absolutely.
idea. But for people that don't get that bubble burst early on, like seeing them come to that realization now, it's like, what? Like I've been through this. Like I,
Exactly.
how are we not on the
Yeah.
same wave?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how one person can see a different side of America and the other person can't. And then even when you're trying to tell them like, no, this ain't real, because they have literally never experienced it or even had to, like, that's a luxury. Not experiencing the true America, that's a luxury.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And people don't realize it because they
Yeah.
just take it for what it is. And I remember a few days ago, I was in a class, we were talking about my school, which is in the center of North Philly, and completely dehomed a lot of people, destroyed a lot of communities in the process of expanding. And we were talking about gentrification and like the impacts that it has. And this one guy who grew up in the suburbs his whole life, never stepped a foot in the city until he got to college. He was like, well, I just feel like they should gentrify all of it. And I was like, what do you mean by that? What are you trying to say? And he's
Yeah.
like, like this place is so dangerous. It's so this, is so that. Like they should just take it all out. And I was like, gentrification is not the answer to anything, let
Right.
alone like these issues that you're trying to bring up. Because
Right.
dehoming people is only going to make it worse. And I
Absolutely.
couldn't process how like somebody like I'm looking at you, we have the same skin tone, and like you have a completely different view of how the world works. And I was like, I can't even process looking at things that way because I
Right.
never got a chance to see it that
Absolutely. You never had that luxury.
way. Mm-hmm.
And he did. As to why he thinks he misconstrues gentrification for making things better.
Mm-hmm.
Gentrification does not make things better. It actually makes things worse for a lot of people and makes things better for only a small percentage of people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
But if you're in that percentage, what
you
do you
good.
care?
You good. You
Exactly.
of course you don't care. Why? But why should you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the it's like I'm trying. I'm
Yeah.
trying to like
Yeah.
because I try like I also try to understand like obviously if you have this certain thought process you have it for a reason. There's like things in your growing up and you're getting to this point that led you to this, and I
Absolutely.
understand that, but at the same time like there's points in your life where you have to take initiative to
Yes.
learn on your own. And I think with like upcoming generations that's becoming more of a thing where like they're calling out more like, okay, I know what I was taught was wrong, and like I know this doesn't feel right now that I'm being faced with whatever I'm being faced with. But it's still such a, I think just like a sense of disbelief where it's like I may know this is true, I don't want to acknowledge that this is true.
Yeah,
I don't
for
want to
sure.
acknowledge that what I know is not what's real.
Yeah. And because you receive a lot of criticism, backlash, or punishment if you do speak out on certain things. So
Mm-hmm.
it does make speaking out a risk that it shouldn't even exist.
Mm-hmm. And for a lot of people, especially Black women, you may not even be speaking out. You may just be like speaking on something that pertains to you, and to the wrong person, that could be, oh, you're trying to cause chaos, or oh,
Yeah,
you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that, and you're just navigating the world in the way that you have to.
absolutely.
Um, and I think like that's part of the reason why like it's so like teeter tottering, like you have to tiptoe so much to navigate,
Hmm.
because it's so easy to fall into that space. Or it's so easy to be, oh, she's just angry. She's an angry Black woman, or like
That's
yada
it.
yada yada. It's like I'm just having a conversation. Like I don't understand.
Yep. That's the stereotype. That's all we get. And instead of just being able to freely express ourselves, like you said, because that's the world we see it and how we know it, we're always discouraged or decriminalized or, made to look like we just angry. And it's just like, but if I was angry, wouldn't I have a right to be like, based off what I'm saying, shouldn't I have a right to be angry though? Like, am I supposed to
Mhm.
be happy about this? Like, it makes no sense. Like, I'm getting paid 20% less than this person. We got the same degree. I'm probably better at my job than him, but because I'm a Black woman, I get paid less. I should be
Mhm.
angry, right? Doesn't that make sense?
Exactly, but people love to dismiss, and
Mm-hmm.
I think like there's this one guy. I have a class called the history of hip hop, and we were talking about this professor who got his PhD in hip hop and released a whole album as his dissertation, where he was just like combining the history of like African Americans in America
Mm-hmm.
and like modern hip hop, which was really good. But there was one song on it called Broken Windows where they were talking about the protests in Ferguson and the protests about Tamar Rice and Mike Brown and like years ago. And they like these two reporters were going back and forth about this idea of like, do they have a right to be acting like in these violent protests? And he was like, either way, they're mourning. Like they're gonna mourn how they need to mourn. Like
Right.
you can't judge people for dealing with the emotions that you put onto them.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what that just made me think of, this idea of like we're reacting for a reason. Don't
Absolutely.
give us a reason to react like this if you don't want us to feel these emotions. But
Yeah.
that's just our everyday life.
Yep. Absolutely. That's how it is. That's how it
So
is.
how do you find peace in your everyday life?
Um, nowadays, just because of like everything that I have going on, I'm trying to be more of a hobbyist. Like I'm trying to find things that I've never really got the opportunity to do or the time to do. And I'm like trying to make it like kind of like my not every day, but like weekly or monthly routine. Like I was never able to like get my nails done, stuff like that. Just like more self love. So I
Mm-hmm.
always try to like make sure my hair I'm presentable, because that makes me feel good. I always kind of pamper myself, get my hair done, nails done. I'm even skating now. I've traveled without having to compete. I've traveled more, doing a lot of speaking engagements. So I've become more of a hobbyist, like to make sure that even though I'm dealing with or doing things that are very important and necessary, like for our communities, and for just the movement that we're facing right now, but I also just try to be normal and like ground myself to like, go out. Like you should go skating. Like just do something like to take yourself away from everything that you like have to do as far as your responsibilities.
Mm-hmm. I completely understand that, and I think that's one of the reasons why, like, the idea of like a hair salon or like a nail salon feels so comforting to me because it was always
Mhm.
like, okay, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna like dedicate these like however many hours and just sit there and like go through the motions. I'm gonna look good when I leave,
Yeah,
and there's like no sense of like conflict or like this idea of like, oh, I need to like nothing else matters in that moment. It's just like I'm
yeah.
focusing on me, this person's focusing on me, and like we're just in this space,
Hmm.
which is such a core sense of like safety that I think a lot of people relate to. And
Yeah,
even one of my friends the other day was like, there should be a hair salon with like an open mic in it. And I was like, what are you talking about?
that would be dope though. Like a hair salon
Exactly.
restaurant, like on Baps, that would be cool. That would be
And
dope.
she was like, you can't tell me that wouldn't be like the dopest thing ever. Like, you can't tell me you wouldn't just feel so warm in a space like
Yeah.
that. And I was like, I absolutely agree. And there needs to be more spaces like that for us to feel that sense of warmness, which is
Hmm.
hard to find in a lot of places.
Absolutely. I'm almost every place.
Yes, for sure. It's like, I think music is another big thing too. And like just trying to find things that feel like, oh yeah, I can relate to that. Like, even if
Hmm.
I can't relate to it, but like if it's if it's good, like if I feel like it's giving good energy or it's like this person's enjoying themselves and I'm enjoying myself. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Like with Glorilla, I don't relate to anything Glorilla says out her mouth, but I love how happy she is when she says it. So I'm like, all right, I'm
Yeah.
gonna vibe with it because you're vibing and I
Yep.
love that for you.
Yeah, for
Even though that's
sure.
not my life.
For sure. That's real important. Absolutely. I love some good music, and I think that's why I like skating because it's like it's good music. It's something athletic, something you can do for a workout. But like really, like in that space, everybody is just like vibed, nice, sweet. You could fall and bust your head, and everybody gonna come and try to pick you up. Like seriously, like skating is the coolest. It's the coolest atmosphere. I
It
love it.
takes a village to skate.
Yes, it does.
What's your go-to skate music?
um, I'm definitely like a rider girl. So I like bumping music. I like, I wouldn't say trap music, but I like, music with a good beat, a heavy beat, like Too Short, you know what I'm saying? Key Glide, stuff like that. Like I like, I like
Mm,
hard music. Like I just like music with good beats.
Was that always your music taste, or did that like transition as you got older?
Oh no, I'm eclectic, so I listen to all type of music. I'm all around. You know me, I definitely prefer R&B over anything, but I'm very eclectic. I can vibe with anything as long as it makes sense. Like even like you said, even if I can't relate, if it's like nonsense, I'm not listening to it. But if it's like a good vibe, I'm gonna listen to it for sure.
Who's your favorite R&B artist?
I am definitely a Jill Scott, SZA, Summer Walker type girl.
Mm, I love
Yeah,
me some Jilly from Philly Scott.
yeah.
Is my
I'm
favorite.
definitely that type of girl.
I've never listened to Summer Walker.
Really?
Yes, I hear her all the time though. So like
Yeah,
I need to. But SZA, I've heard a few songs. I've just never like I think because I always heard SZA's music on the radio, I never searched it out on my own.
yeah,
So I think that's what I need to take the time to do. Because all my R&B is like old.
yeah,
like
yeah. And
old.
it's nothing wrong with that for sure, for sure.
Which is good, but I need to give the new girl some love.
Yeah,
It's all like
absolutely.
early 2000s, 90s,
Yeah,
and I'm too young to only be listening to
yeah, for sure. You got to get out more. Do you like her? Her is a really good R&B artist too. Her album is very
Yes.
nice.
Every her song I've ever heard, I love.
Yeah, she is a
So,
phenomenal.
there's this one artist called Baby Rose who
Hmm.
isn't like super big, but her albums like always really good. They just feel very like I can just like lay down and like listen and vibe or like
Yeah.
cleaning. Like I feel like I could clean to this. That's my
Hmm.
like marker of like a good R&B song. Like if I feel
Oh
like I
yeah.
can clean my house to this song, then it's okay
Yeah, that's cool.
for sure. Are you like a hip hop person? Are you a rap girl or
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm all of the above. I like the good old hip hop. I like the old school. Definitely a Tupac girl. Like I feel
mm,
like if Tupac was still alive, I'd be trying to get with him to this day. I don't care how old he was, like or would be. Yeah, definitely.
dedication?
Yeah, I'm definitely hip hop for sure.
Okay, I feel it. It like I'm not surprised by your
Yeah.
answer for sure in a good way. In a good way.
Yeah.
But that's I always love asking people's music taste because I think it's always really shocking.
Really?
Just because like you never know. Because I think especially like depending on where somebody grew up, like they could have a completely different like view of music that they heard when they were younger.
Absolutely.
Um so like there was one person I talked to and like all she listened to was country music. Like
Really?
yeah, like only country music. And I was like,
Oh.
interesting. But interesting decision. But I respect it and
Yeah.
I could understand it knowing that she grew up like I think she's from a small town in South Carolina. So like it was all very like either country music or like the Jackson 5 and like stuff
Yeah.
like that. So it was like very concentrated
Yeah,
compared
for
to
sure.
like me who like I grew up in a big city, so I heard everything, every direction.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah, it's music taste is interesting. I admire
Yeah.
it. I
I love music though. I think music is just like sport, man. It's like it's just good for you. You know, music is good for everybody. If you don't like music, I question your who you are because it's like everybody like a good little tune. Even if it's just Christmas music, whatever.
You sound like me with movies. There's this one, like my first three episodes, all I kept asking, did you see the five heartbeat? None of my, have you seen the five heartbeat?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. None of the people had saw it. I was like, I don't trust you. I don't understand. And my old roommate didn't see the five heartbeats, didn't see the Temptations, didn't see the Jackson 5 biopic, like didn't see Love and Basketball, like nothing. I was like, I don't trust you. What was you doing?
I was about to say, what were they doing? Like, what made you like not have time to just sit and watch that with your peoples by yourself?
Exactly. She was
What were
like,
you
I just
doing?
did it. Like my family just wasn't into that type of stuff. I was like, so like you
Into
were
movies? So what did you do? What did you do instead? Were you
exactly.
outside? That's cool. I mean, if you was outside, that's cool, but I don't know.
You need a balance. That's all.
Yeah, I feel
Even like
like
with TV, I
yeah,
don't watch it enough now, but I need to.
yeah.
It's
I
not that good
definitely don't
now
watch
though.
TV, but I feel like when I was younger, we never like watched TV. We were always outside. Like we like watching TV doesn't bother me. Like I don't have to watch TV.
Mhm. See, I wanted to be outside as a kid. I was not allowed to be outside as a kid. So I was very and like I had my little iPod touch, so I was like, all right, I'm cool.
I'm
I was
cool.
like, I want to go outside, but my whole block was just boys. So my dad was like, no, you
Yeah,
know,
I
stay here.
understand that. Yeah.
And I was like, all right, dang. So I just be in my window, like, damn, they playing tag. That's crazy.
They getting it in.
Exactly. And I'm just sitting on my bed watching Disney Channel. Like,
Right.
I want to go outside. And it wasn't until I got to high school that I finally started to actively play sports.
Yeah.
And even then, it wasn't a lot because it was like I had 50,000 other things happen at that point. I should have did it when I was younger.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But I don't know. It's a interesting time. I always wanted to be a cheerleader. I respect you for being a cheerleader. I don't think I would have been a good cheerleader
Yeah.
at that time. I definitely was not the outgoing person. I definitely was like very much, I'm going to do my books and I'm going to go home.
Okay, and that's fine. Yeah.
But in my head, I was like, I'm going to be a cheerleader. I'll be a cheerleader. I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. And then I got to high school and it was like, nah.
Yeah. For sure. High school is different. High school is definitely different.
What was your high school experience like? Like, would you consider it a good experience?
What's crazy is I feel like high school was so fast. It's like I really don't remember too much because I don't know. I was again like just with me being kind of different. I feel like I was always kind of like just like here, like like high school. It's just so it was mediocre to me. Like I always wanted more, so I didn't like take high school seriously. Like how some people be like, high school is just like this is important, do or die. They dressing up every day, they trying to be in the crowd, they trying to be popular. Like I was never like that because I'm just like, bro, this is high school. Like, do y'all not know? Like after this, it's for real about to be real. Like this ain't nothing. I feel like I was like mentally, I was just on a different level when I was in high school. So I don't remember much because I was so smart. I really never went to school. My dad,
Yeah, I was so smart.
yeah, like my dad's friend, he was the principal, so I definitely didn't go to school. Like,
Hmm.
um, all the teachers loved me. Like, I mean, I just got the job done. Like, high school was just like a step. Like, I was there, I got the job done. The only thing that I took seriously was sports, basketball, and then track and field once I started track and field. But other than that, high school was so easy for me. It was just like, why am I here?
Hmm.
Like, I'm ready for like this is boring. Like I don't even remember high school because it was so mediocre to me. Like
Hmm.
this is nothing. What's next?
That's
Like
how I feel right now because I'm an undergraduate, but I want to get my PhD. So I'm like, I
uh-huh.
know I'm gonna be in school for a while. So I'm like, why am I taking all these classes that don't got nothing to do with what I'm trying to do? Like, can I get to
Yeah.
my master's, please?
Yeah, like come on.
Do you think you're like your social like mood, like the way you navigated socially changed once you got to the next stage?
Yeah. Again, I feel like because I wasn't like distracted by the things that were like unnecessary. Like again, like when I was in high school, I wasn't dressing up every day. I wasn't trying to be cute. I wasn't trying to be in the in crowd, going to parties. Like I like that stuff never really fueled me. Just because of how I was raised, because me having a kid at such a young age, like certain things didn't move me. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I don't know, I just wasn't able to like be distracted as much as other people. So that definitely allowed me to be like, progress like on a different level because I just already kind of had that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Do
Yeah.
you ever wish that like you did do more of those experiences more, or are you just like, I got where I got and that's what
Girl,
it
I'll tell you
is?
like this. And this is not to like demean anyone, but it's just like I'm fortunate that I didn't do half the things people did in high school because I think I would be where they are in life and not where I am in life.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like me not engaging in a lot of things and just I don't want to say I was too good. I just was too smart. And so that allowed me to be successful. And a lot of people that I went to high school with, they're not. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're not successful, so all they do is talk about like high school. They let you know when people not really like doing nothing or got nothing going for them, they always talk about high school because like that was the best time of their life. And I'm like, bro, high school, I don't even remember. That was not the best time of my life. Like, you ain't got nothing else better to talk about. So yeah, I don't regret it. Yeah, high school is just so not even the start of your life. Like you
Hmm.
have so, if like when people make it, you have so much more life to live. And I tell my son that, and like all my younger friends and their kids, they're like, "Girl, get through high school and get on with your life. High school is nothing. Please don't take this serious because everybody that you're around, hanging around, cool with, when once you get to college, you're not gonna even know them no more."
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's like with social media. I'm like, I don't want to follow these people no more. Like, I don't. I'm not interested in what they're doing at this point. Like,
Yeah.
I'm on my own way.
Yeah.
But with you, like being a parent, how do you think? Like, what is that experience like for you with your career and trying to balance and like move through that?
Yeah, it was very difficult. I feel like that was one of the things, me like not being able to like be with my family, be with my son as much as I wanted to and I should have been. That was kind of like my Achilles heel. That was always something, I always felt guilty about. If that's anything I could regret is having a kid at such a young age because I feel like because my life was still moving, my career was still moving, and I was still trying to be successful that took away like the normal time that one would have with their kid if they do have a kid and an age where they're more established. So even though I love like me and my son's connection because we're so close in age, I do often regret like just not being there all the time as much as
Mm-hmm.
I would want to. But other than that, besides it being very, very difficult, I feel like it was still something that empowered me. As much as it was my Achilles heel, it was something that set me apart from everybody I was competing against. Again, all my peers who were, competing against me in college, still, I always just had much, much more to like be in a space for than other people. I had my
Mm-hmm.
motivation at a very young age, and I was competing against people who still like did, had to find theirs. So that
Mm-hmm.
really helped me out a lot.
Exactly. Just knowing that purpose, that reason, that push
Yeah.
at that point. And now at this point in your career, like what would you say that push is for you? Do you think it's still rooted in that?
What you mean?
Like like has your like core sense of motivation changed?
Um, I don't think my motivation has changed, but I think I'm ready for my lifestyle to change so that I can do more grass rooted work in the communities and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't be an athlete forever. You can't compete forever. You can't travel forever. Like your body changes, especially females. Like our body changes every day. So I do feel like even though I am getting to the point where I'm done being an athlete, I still have the same sense of motivation to like do community outreach. Different types of initiatives to help minorities, Black mothers, Black men, Black community. And so, yeah, my motivation is still the same.
Mm-hmm. And that work is so important, like,
For
so
sure.
crucial. I'm so excited to hear you talk about going into that because I know, like, just knowing like the way you move, like you're going
Mhm.
to be so good in that space.
Yeah.
Um, and I think like so like there's so many programs like that that we just need more, especially for young people.
Yes.
Um, and like having that sense of not necessarily direction, but like knowing that like this is what's possible and like knowing that like you can like whatever you're going to like and I think
I feel like our kids, they have the icons, but the icons are up here. You know what I'm saying? Like
mm-hmm,
they're not attainable. Like kids, like our kids and a lot of normal people, they can't reach or even fathom like what goes into being like the people that they look up to. And so
mm-hmm,
we need more people in the middle or on the ground level to say, okay, this is where you want to go. Let me allow you to understand like what it takes, what you need,
mm-hmm,
the type of education, the type of decision making skills. You know what I'm
mm-hmm,
saying? Because I don't think we have that enough. Like I feel like it's different from LeBron James telling somebody how to do something rather than me, who's even I've reached that, but not too far out so that I'm not, or I'm too good to like come back and help people that
Mhm.
really, really need the help to be able to get there as well. And I feel
Mhm.
like we need more of that.
For sure, because there's so many places where like you only get taught how to get to so many levels. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this is how like you want to be like a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, like whatever. There's these like preset things.
Yeah.
It's like this is all you can do. And it's like, but I see these people doing this, and I like obviously these jobs are out there, these possibilities are out there, but there's no guide to knowing how to get there. And even
Yeah.
like I started school with a completely different major at a completely different school because I knew what I wanted to do. I didn't think it was possible because I didn't know there was a route to get there. I didn't know you could
Absolutely.
major in certain things, you could do certain things like that until I was 2 years into college. And I was like, oh, why am I spending my money for this when
Yeah,
like
for
I
sure, for
know this is
sure.
where I want to go?
Yeah.
Um, which is a whole nother thing with just like college being weird.
A
And a
set up,
big decision to make at 18
set
years
up,
old. But
set up cities. College is set up city.
for sure, like every time I think about it, I'm just like, what?
Hmm.
Valuable, but definitely a setup in a lot of ways,
Yeah, for sure.
especially for POC.
And minorities, people who can't afford it, who think they're doing something that they're supposed to do, but honestly, it sets them back further than what they think if they
Especially
can't
when
afford it.
you're exactly and you're going into it with this idea of I have to and not I want to. Because
Yeah,
like you don't
absolutely.
know, so many people end up in majors that they don't like with career paths that they don't even want to obtain because it's like, well, I need to do this and
Yeah,
not I actually want to do this. I know that I want to do this.
yeah. Or undervalued and underpaid positions you know, because of how the world is,
Hmm.
because
And
they're
then
not
you don't
welcome
know
in certain
better.
spaces.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And that's whew, college America. Gotta, gotta love
America.
it.
That's America.
It's like even the school that I go to now is 13% black. But it's which is like a big number for colleges, but
Wow.
for a school that's in the middle of a primarily black neighborhood and has been its entire time, like that is not good at
Yeah.
all. Even with a lot of HBCUs that see like their numbers are dropping, and it's like, what do we do about this? How do
Yeah.
we maintain this? And I think part of it is just people one realizing that like college isn't the only option, which
Yes.
is great, but
Yes.
also just like a lack of accessibility. And it's just getting like more expensive every
Yeah.
single year.
Yeah. Interest rates going up on these grants and loans and all type of stuff. Yeah, people can't afford it.
Mm-hmm. And it's ridiculous that you have to put yourself in a lifelong debt to get even education, let alone getting to the career path that you want, just to get knowledge.
For sure.
It's ridiculous, but you know. So that's why programs like that are so important. That was the tangent.
Yeah.
For sure. Were you in any programs like I know you were like primarily sports focused, but were you in any programs like that, like Girl Scouts or anything like that that helped? Probably not Girl Scouts. You said you were probably. I
Not,
don't know why I said
not
that,
Girl
but
Scouts. No, like what's crazy is I've never personally experienced a program that or initiative that probably could have bettered my life. Like again, most programs, like if they're not like directly in your neighborhoods or your communities, like you don't know anything about them. I think just based off of the fact that um I went to a PWI, we did have like, and even in like grade school I went to a private institution, so we had dare programs at the school. But like, if I was not at school, like I was not doing no type of program. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm,
And so I feel like that. I think about it all the time, especially like right now doing my master's because I am in public health. So it's just like I think about these programs and I'm like, dang, where was I at? Like, why didn't I have these? Like, why didn't I have access to these things? And so even like with these initiatives, I feel like again, like it could since there's so many programs, it's like I don't think they're reaching as many people as they should.
mm-hmm. And
So
a
many
lot of them
kids
are
still go back.
expensive.
Yeah, a lot of them are expensive or they're not easily attainable. Like you can't get to them. You don't have the resources or means to even bus or drive to them.
Mhm.
Again, it's a luxury, you know what I'm saying? So
Mhm. That's like even with sports. Like I was talking to a pro hockey player a while ago, and we are talking about the fact that to put a kid through hockey from like starting age to 18 is a college tuition.
for sure.
When it comes to like team fees, equipment, like replacing things, and people don't realize how it, like there's so many sports that aren't obtainable to lower income families because they're either not in their communities or they just can't afford it. And
Yeah,
then all you have is basketball, football, because
that's
it's
it.
something that you can easily do. Like it doesn't require a whole bunch of equipment. You don't need a special facility. Um, and like one of my dream goals in my life, main big picture, is just like to create a program in my city that helps get get kids to experience programs that aren't the mainstream. So
Yeah, that
like
would be perfect.
there's more than basketball, there's more than football, there's more than soccer. Like if you want to try this, the options there because that can like sports can really change somebody's life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm definitely an example of that. Like sports,
Mm-hmm.
like even though I do preach, self-education and education just in general because you need to be smart. Sports is a very good, and for Black people it is naturally easier for us to like navigate in those spaces because of our physical capabilities. So
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
That's my like one main thing that I push all the time. It's just like even with my niece, like she wants to play soccer so bad. And her sister's like, I can't afford it. Like the team fees are way too much. Like I'm gonna find a place. Like I'm gonna find a place. I will find a grant.
Yeah,
So if she will play soccer, she won't play soccer. Like there's no
I know
reason
that's right.
why like a kid should not be told they can't do something they want to do because of something out of their control. They have no
Yeah,
control over how much their parents make, what situation they're in. They shouldn't be able to lose the opportunity because of that. But it
absolutely.
happens every day.
All the time. All the time.
Exactly. So that's my spiel. That's my tangent. That's my big upset in my life.
Yeah. It's everywhere. It's
Mm-hmm.
everywhere.
Even with like Girl Scouts, I was in Girl Scouts for a few years and I had to stop because it was so expensive just paying the fees to be in it, let alone everything else that they do that costs to like you. It costs to go to every single program. It costs to get your badges. Like, what is this? I thought this was a community program.
Like not to hate on Girl Scouts, but I don't know. I just don't know if it's effective. I've never really understood the point of it.
Yeah, I think like the main benefit I got out of it was just like social skills and like being in a community, like being, especially because I was such an anxious child, like learning to like be more social, being in the community with other women. But most of the stuff that we were being taught was one, very stereotypical, and two, just
Absolutely.
outdated. It was
Absolutely. Because I'm thinking about Girl Scouts and I'm just like, who does that favor? Like who does that help? It only
mm-hmm,
really helps one demographic of people. Like,
mm-hmm.
yeah,
Because like even if you can get into it, you can't afford to go on the trips. You can't afford to go to the programs. The idea is that the money you sell with your cookies will go to funding your programs, but most people can't sell enough in the
yeah,
first place, especially when the prices keep rising. So it's like
yeah. I'm just like, Girl Scouts, interesting.
it's definitely, I think it's definitely aging out. Like I hear about it less and less.
I hope so. I hope they still sell the cookies, but I just hope they do away with that program. I really do.
Or at least refigure some stuff out because it's definitely like very just not up to par with
Yeah,
where we
I think
are
it's very
socially.
traditional. Yeah, it's probably just
Exactly.
traditional and like things change. Like now we got Instagram, baby. Girl Scouts not gonna hold my attention. Like I don't think so.
For sure. That's like when I think I had it like a Facebook when I was like 10 or something. Because that's when it started. I was like, oh, I want to be on this. Da, da, da. Definitely shouldn't have had it. Don't know why I had so much
Yeah.
social media access as a kid. But I was like, why would I go out and do all that when I could be on here on my phone and have YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, everything I want
I'm just
right
saying.
there, which
Yeah.
is definitely not good. definitely part of why I wasn't so
Yeah,
social. But
for sure. But it's just like, I mean, that's the way of the world now.
even
Girls,
like
Girl Scouts
I'll
gonna have
see
to do
my
it.
nephews and nieces. I'm like, y'all don't want to go outside and play? Like, y'all just gonna sit here and play the game?
Uh-huh.
It's nice outside. Y'all friends outside. Y'all want to go outside? No, it's okay. What? I was begging to go outside.
Right. We was always outside. Always.
That's where, like, what else was you gonna do? Like,
Yeah.
I
It wasn't
mean,
nothing else for us to do. We had YouTube and Facebook and MySpace, but I'm like, girl, I'm not about to sit inside on a computer. No.
it's just weird. And I'm not like I'm only 20, but even then, it's just like this just feels so not what I am used to. I'm like, I
Yeah.
was just like your age like 2 seconds ago. Like, what? It's just weird seeing the way technology is like growing
And
so
changed
quickly.
everything. Technology has really changed everything.
Exactly, and I can't keep up with it. I don't understand it. I barely understand Instagram. I don't understand Twitter. I don't understand TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't
Ooh.
want to do it, but you have to know how to navigate it to like run a business and like get your point across to have a platform.
Yep.
And some people don't sign up for that. They just want to do their job.
For real. I'm some people. I'm just like, I gotta post. Like, I do. They don't know what you're doing, Gwen. Do I?
Why though?
Like, so I gotta post it on here, and they gonna know. But it's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my goodness.
There's this one soccer player on the U.S. national team, and she's like, "I'm a soccer player. Like, I don't want to be a celebrity. I don't want to do this. I want to come and play soccer and go home. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
that's all I want to
not
do.
sign up for all this. Now I gotta have
Yes.
Facebook, Twitter. I gotta post a certain amount of times. I gotta do.
Yes.
It's too much happening. It couldn't be me.
Yeah. It's very demanding for sure.
And I admire it because even like with the small things, I'm like, I can't. I can't keep up. Even with the podcast, I'm like, I don't like posting for this. I'm like, I know I gotta promote it, but I really don't. I don't
Right.
understand.
Yeah.
Nobody's like, do you people even care? Like, it's probably corny, but that's what the algorithm likes, so I gotta do it that way.
Yep.
It's a
Mhm.
hard life to me, but I think you do it well.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I admire it because
It's a lot,
it is
girl.
difficult, but you
Mhm.
do it well.
Thank
If
you.
you don't do it, whoever does it, they do it well.
Yeah.
The team,
Yeah.
whoever.
What's crazy is I do all my posts. I hate it. Like I'm the type of person like when I'm writing my captions and everything, it's just like I'm so like when I post something, I'm anxious. Like I'm just like, oh my and it's so crazy that society or like the way of everything makes you feel like that. But like every time I post something, like I delete Instagram from my phone. Just because I'm just like, all right, I posted, I'm deleting it. Like, it's so crazy, but that's how I feel like. I am so anxious. Like, oh my God. I hate posting.
Same. And I used to do the same thing where I'm like, I turn my phone off because I don't even have a big following, but I always feel like, oh, like I'm bragging or like something like that. And it's like I don't want to be that person, but at the same
Yeah,
time, sometimes you deserve to brag. Like if I got something to say, I'm gonna say it.
yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, man, people don't care about this.
That's how you feel for real. Yeah, that's true.
But you got to put it out there. And like even
Yeah,
with LinkedIn, I was just talking to the host of like my co-podcast right before this, and we were like, what is like LinkedIn is so fake and like just like so non-necessary, but you have to do it. And it's like I don't even understand. Like I don't know these people. I'm just like, congratulations.
yeah. But it's a business. It's a business for sure. It's a business.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And it's like even like in my one class, like we had a whole session on LinkedIn, learning how to work your social media, what not to do, what not to
Yeah,
say. Like with I work for one of my school's teams, they have to have like meetings like every other week. This is how you talk to media. This is what you don't do. This is what you do. It's like it's so much, so much just to navigate
hmm
when all you want to do is play your sport,
yeah. That's all I
or
want
all
to
you
do.
want to do is say what you want to say.
And then go to sleep and go home. That's it. Go home, go to
Exactly.
sleep.
But that's the world we live in. But you do it well, and that's what matters. That's what matters. Um, I need some fun final questions for you because I feel like we ended up talking a lot about like serious stuff anyway, which I didn't mean to do.
Oh, it's
But
fine. But we talked about serious stuff in a nice little type of way. So
yeah, and you had so much to say, I just had to. But who's one of your favorite female artists right now? It could be anybody, actress, musician. Like, who's somebody that you look at and you're like, I gotta tell everybody
um, oh, that's a hard question. Honestly, I would say Carisha from City
about
Girls.
this.
Seriously, I feel like her story is so compelling just because of like how she grew up, where she grew up, the struggles of being like a young mom and still being very successful.
Mm,
And like now she has her own podcast. She has billionaires supporting her movement. She's very unapologetic. Excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat. She's very unapologetic. And she even has like Issa Rae like writing, her newest show based off her life. So I commend her. I like her. I like how young she is. I like how business oriented she is, but honestly, how authentic she is still.
mm, I agree.
Yeah,
I
I like
think that's
her a
always
lot.
the main thing that like attracts
Mhm.
me to people. It's just like it feels like you're a real person. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. I just like how real she is. I feel like I can relate to her in some regard, but I like how even though she's dealt with a lot of things, nothing has ever truly held her back. Like she's been able to just like raise the bar year after year after year, and that's just so cool. And she's a young mother.
Exactly, and just
Yep.
progressing
Yep.
and doing self work too. Like I remember there was an interview of hers I was watching on Instagram or something, but they were talking about her stage presence. And they were like, you can tell you put so much work into improving your stage presence since you started.
Yes.
And she's like, yeah, like I really do this. Like I really want to be good at what I'm doing. I'm not just getting on stage to get on stage. Like this is a passion of mine.
Yeah.
And I think that's really admirable, especially when you can see the difference.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like because of her personality, it is hard for her to like always put herself out there, and she spoke about that. Like the fact that again she didn't let people deter her, like because a lot of people like JT Moore, like they was like when JT was in jail, Carisha really didn't hold it down. She's a horrible, performer. But I appreciate her resilience in that space and like taking that criticism head on and working on her craft.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like resilience is just a skill that like you could never tell me a black woman is not resilient. It could be anybody.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
just
even need to know of
yeah. That's
because
that's what
to
that's what we do.
exist
Yeah,
exactly like
that's just what we do.
to navigate every day in a world that is like so against you, is so many hoops to jump through every time you interact with somebody. That takes so much strength, and like we don't even. I feel like we don't even realize we have it sometimes
Yeah.
until you sit back. It's like I really went through like this. Like damn, like this really just happened to me,
Hmm.
which is hard. There's a book. Hold on, I think I got it. But I feel like, oh, it's right here. It's called Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen: The Emotional Lives of Black Women, and it's by
Oh,
it's really good. It's by a psychologist. I'll send it to you.
do they
And
have an audio version of it?
yeah,
Oh, I'm gonna have to download that today.
and it starts. A lot of it focuses on this idea of the strong Black woman and breaking one how that came to be, how that idea came to be, where it comes from, but also how much negative, or that's not the word I'm trying to say, how much damage that does to Black women growing up, and this idea of like you have to just let things go, you have to persevere, you can't express how you feel because then there's this and blah blah blah, and this idea of like always having to be the stronghold of the community,
Yeah.
which like I picked it up just because I was like, this looks interesting. And like going through it, I'm like, I didn't even realize so many of my traits come from this. And
Yeah.
like this idea of having to achieve this.
Hmm.
until I read it. And I was like, you're right. Like,
That's me.
that's definitely there. That's me now. And I think you would really like it. So
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go ahead and download that.
yeah, for sure. It's definitely like something I suggest. Everybody I've like talked to recently, I feel like you need to read this book because it was like one of like I don't think any book I've read up until this point has like made me do as much self reflection as this book has. That
Wow.
has felt as genuine as this book has.
Yeah.
So that would be my ending note for you because I think so much of what we talked about today relates to this book and what she does in it.
That's powerful. I'm definitely gonna read it. I appreciate that.
Of course, thank you. Do you have anything final to say?
Um, I would just say final thoughts, be strong, love yourself, be nice to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The world is already crazy. The world is already a traumatic, terrible place. So just pour love onto yourself and to your family, your friends, and just always try to keep yourself first in some regard because if you don't, the world will break you for sure.
For sure. That was such a good that was such a good little summary. Thank you so much. I feel like so much lighter just leaving this conversation for
Yeah.
sure.
Thank you for having me. This was cool. This was fun. This was cool.
Of
I love what you're doing on
course.
your platform. This is pretty cool.
Thank you. As we were like going, I was like, damn, I feel like we're really centering in, but I think sometimes that's needed.
For
And
sure.
I think this was a really good conversation. And
Yeah.
like I know when I listen back to this, I want to be like, damn, I need to think some more about what she said.
Yeah.
So thank you so much,
Thank you for
everybody.
having me.
What's your Instagram at? It's at Gwen Berry, right?
So my Instagram is at Ms. MZ Berry Throws. BerryThrowz. So follow me. Follow me. Follow me.
Go follow her. Go follow me at sporty.spice with two C's. The podcast at Don't Touch My Jersey. And I will see you 2 weeks from now for the next episode. Thank you so much, Gwen. I
Thank you for
appreciate it.
having
Of course.
me.